right, everybody. Well, it's another gloomy day in the shop, but welcome to the channel. We are here in the Hammerdown Motorsports shop. Here we have a Ram Rebel. If you guys have not been following along with that, definitely do have a whole lot of videos on everything we've done so far on this truck. But today, we did get something new, and it's not a truck or a newer car or a old school car. We got something very, very different, very different to the channel, and I was gonna kind of share it with you guys because it is, well, the latest and greatest thing, and it just arrived this morning, so let's go check it out. Well, everybody, here it is, the newest addition to the Hammerdown Motorsports fleet, and yes, we got a new lawnmower. Now, I have in the past had people come and mow my lawn because I knew people that did it and whatever, and we just ended up having more problems than good things happen with that. So the decision was made that after spending a bunch of money on getting people to cut my lawn, I might as well just do it myself, and why not get the right piece of equipment for that job. And here is our Cub Cadet Pro Z 900 60-inch deck steering wheel model. Let's go over this thing and kind of show you guys what it has to offer. All right, so basically I am very new to landscaping, cutting lawn, all that kind of stuff. This is just for my personal use, but this is a commercial machine. And Cub Cadet, as most people probably know, they're more of a residential machine manufacturer until now that they have the Pro Z lineup. And this one is pretty much one of the top dogs. And the best thing about this particular unit is right here, the steering wheel. Rather than having the lap bars, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to mow grass all day because I haven't done it yet, but I mean, I would just think having to push that bar forward, back, whatever, all day long might get a little tiring. And also, if you wanted to grab a drink or anything like that, you have to stop because, I mean, obviously you're gonna have to let go one of the handles, reach over to your cup holder, and then, you know, grab your drink. This one, you're on the fly. You got your forward reverse pedals right here, so you're running those with your feet. You can steer with one hand, you can grab your drink with the other hand, take a sip, and on you go. You don't really have to slow down. That was the main reason probably why I went with the Cub Cadet, and I did a bunch of research online and just kind of looked at all the other models. I was pretty much dead set on getting an X Mark before this, but then just after watching the videos and seeing the steering wheel and how that all works and how it's like a true zero turn with a steering wheel, it really just is gonna work way better for my property. So aside from the convenience of a steering wheel and just kind of the natural action, I mean, I'm sure there's technique to using a zero turn with the lap bars where you're not gonna be like tearing up the grass with the tires and stuff like that. This already has everything thought of in its construction. You turn the wheel and it counter steers and does all that kind of stuff for you so you don't tear up your turf. Also, with a steering wheel model, you'll notice we do have turf tires on the front. And there's a very good reason for that is because when you turn the wheel, you actually turn these front tires as well. And on a regular lap bar model, these are just gonna be caster wheels. They're just kind of along for the ride, and all your steering is done with the rear. So now when you're on a hill and you wanna turn, your uphill tire can lose traction and then tear up the grass. So obviously, if you look over here, you can see all of the incline grades that I do have on my property, and some of them are a lot more than what they look like just kind of looking through the window here. But having a unit like this, I'm just gonna be able to go up and down those hills, no problem at all, without scrubbing and tearing up the grass with a regular type model. And this is gonna keep the front end in line just so you don't have that kind of slippage on that upper wheel. So being that I am a homeowner and not a professional lawn care person, I don't have any loyalty to any particular brand. You know, the guys out there, you know, if you came to a job site with a steering wheel on, they might think that, you know, you're an amateur or something like that. That's kind of the consensus from some of the videos I've seen by some of the other people. But if you look at some of their other videos where you get professional guys on this machine, they can't believe how much fun it is to drive with a steering wheel. It's kind of like a little go-kart. And that being said, also, like, I am not loyal to any of these brands, so I really had an open mind when I went into this purchase to try to figure out which one was going to be the best fit for me. And honestly, let's take a look at just the bare essentials of this machine. I mean, we've got our engine. So this is a Kawasaki, which is one of the biggest brand names that are used in all commercial mowers. So it's a big name engine. It's not a Cub Cadet engine that's going to be, you know, something that might be weird. I don't know if they do make their own engines or not, but the fact is, this is universal. This is something that you're going to find in other types of machines. So I mean, this really, I mean, no matter what color the machine is, the engine's the engine, and that's just the way it is. And as far as drivetrain goes, this thing uses Parker pumps, Parker transmission, and anybody who knows anything about hydraulics, Parker is got to be one of the #1, if not the #1 brand. And I knew that from being a heavy equipment technician. I mean, all the high-end stuff we got was from Parker, so I mean, I could definitely trust that brand to know that it's a high-quality unit, and I'm not going to have any issues with it down the road. Also, there are Parker places all over the place. If you ever need to get parts, hoses, whatever, they can definitely hook you up, and I can still work on this thing myself. Another thing that really set this machine apart for me that I didn't see this option in other units, and I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is a Cub Cadet exclusive. You got your park brake right here. Release that. You can actually put your hydraulics into neutral, and then you're able to start the machine without your hydraulics engaged. So it is, you know, on a cold day or something like that, you got cold oil and everything, it's gonna turn over a lot easier, and it's just gonna be easier on your machine to start it. Not to mention, if you do get this machine stuck, at this point, everything is released. So the wheel motors and everything's released. I should be able to just push this thing without having to drag the motors. And there it goes. No problem at all. If you got to tow this thing out of a hole or something like that, the other machines, you either have to start it up, have somebody ride on it, and just kind of work the controls to get you out of, you know, a stuck situation. This one, I work by myself. I'm not going to have somebody to do that. I can put it in that neutral. I can hook a strap up to it or whatever, take my Can-Am and just pull it out. No problem whatsoever. I'm not going to mess anything up on the wheel motors or the transmission, because dragging this thing around definitely be really hard on those components. So here we are in the driver's seat, and in a minute I'm going to show you guys a little bit more in depth on this seat because it is absolutely awesome. But one thing I wanted to point out, and this is something I think is exclusive to the 2020 models, because I saw all the other ones on the other videos and they didn't have the same setup for the tilt, which I think is really, really nice. It's probably the first thing I noticed. So I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm just going to have to pull down the wheel, and I'm going to show you guys how this different setup works. All right, so we got our wheel in our driving position, and now say we're done for the day, we're going to stop, I want to get out. All you do is pull forward towards yourself on this lever, and your steering wheel goes nicely up slowly with this little kind of gas shock setup right here. And then you can just grab a hold of this, step onto your plate, and you can get off the machine with absolutely no strain on your body whatsoever. Super easy to use, and I really, really like the way they changed this up, because the old setup was a little bit more tedious, I think, to use. Another thing I really like about this machine, we have our pedal right here for our deck. Push that, the deck goes up. We have all of our settings right there. You just lift it up. You can lock it into position with this right here. Right now I do have it in the transport float mode, which is really nice because when you push this in, it lifts the deck, but it doesn't lock it in place. So if I'm going over like a real divot or something like that, and I want to raise the deck up, all I do is push it up with my foot. As soon as I go back over it and I'm ready to cut again, I drop it back down, it goes back to my set position. But if I want to transport this machine, all I do is I push my pedal in, I go over here, I push this over, kind of lift up and turn it so it drops into this hole to the lock position. And then when we release, it stays up in our transporter position and we're good to go. And also over here, we do have our choke on the left. And then we do have our little control panel over here, throttles right here. We got our key switch, we got our PTO engage, we got our hour meter. And you push this button, it shows you all different kinds of stuff as far as maintenance goes, all the different timers for lubing the machine, getting the oil changed, all that kind of stuff. Everything can be accessed through this little screen. Also over here, since we have 2 fuel tanks, we have 2 fuel gauges, which is very nice. Everything is really nice and easy to read. And they do give you some optional stuff over here if you want to put lights on it or anything like that. There is room for switches, and there's even like a little circle down here if you want to put a 12-volt outlet or something like that, so you can have your phone, everything hooked up and powered up all day long. All right, so we're going to hop off the machine, grab a hold of the wheel, step onto our nice little plate here. This actually covers our pulleys, and you just undo these, you can pull this off, and then you can access your pulleys belts for greasing and maintenance. But yeah, this is what it looks like when it's in its park position, and it's very, very easy to get on and off of. All right, so one of my favorite things about this machine, aside from the steering wheel, is the seat. I mean, this seat gives you everything you're ever gonna want in a mower seat or anything for a piece of equipment. On the side here, you got kind of a go or no go lumbar support. So either you have lumbar support or you don't, because it's kind of on or off. It'd be nice if it was variable, but it isn't. But all in all, it's very subtle. It's not like super big and then gone. It's kind of where you want it at the full lumbar position for me. Also, we do have these armrests, which you can have up or down. And if you go in here, they're actually height adjustable. So if you want your armrest a little lower, higher, whatever, you can lock it in that position on both sides and you're good to go. Then over here, we got this little lever. If you push this in, you can move the seat front or back, depending on how short you are. For me, I have it all the way back and it's a perfect, comfortable position for me. And then the best part of all is this guy right here. Now, if we turn our key to on, we've got, oh yes, an air ride seat. Now you gotta love that. Go over the bumps, you're sitting on a cushion of air. What could be better than that? Shut up! So one thing I've noticed on the 2020 model that I didn't see in the other ones, I saw on the older models, they did have on the ROPS just a pin that went through, and then they had a hitch pin on the other side, which is pretty standard. Pull out that hitch pin, it's usually got a little cable on it, then you pull your pin out, and you go over and do it on the other side. And sometimes, you know, the pin sticks or whatever, and you gotta wiggle this. It's kind of a pain, especially if you have to do it, you know, several times a day if you're transporting your machines and you have to have your ROPS up when you're operating, any of that kind of stuff. This setup is very nice. All you do, this is a lock position, that's the unlock position. So you do that, put it in the unlock position, go over to the other side. That's the lock, that's the unlock. And then just kind of push it out of that position, out of where the hole's gonna line up, put it back to where it would go into the lock. And then we just kind of push up until it lines up. And there it goes. Locks in on both sides. You don't put any pins back in. Very quick and easy, especially if you are a contractor and you are going from job to job. This setup can definitely save you some time over the conventional pins. Also, as far as maintenance goes, pretty simple. You got your oil check right here, so unscrew this, the dipstick's in there. And then you got your oil filter is right below it, right there. And you do have lots of room. What I use when I do oil changes on the small equipment that I have, I just kind of get those aluminum tins and just kind of stick it underneath. So when you undo your filter, all the oil just goes into that aluminum tin, and you can kind of just crunch it up and pull it out of the way and not get oil all over your machine. Also, as far as power goes, we do have our Kawasaki 1000cc. This is the FX 1000V, 2-cylinder, 35 horsepower. And I've already had it up some of the steepest hills that I got, and it barely even, you barely hear a whine from the hydraulics. It was like, that all you got? This thing is definitely a power horse. So now that we've talked about our Kawasaki 1000, let's get a cold start on this thing and see how it sounds. So I gotta say, it is actually quieter than expected. It does have a fairly large muffler, but when you're sitting in the driver's seat, you definitely do hear the engine, but it's not overbearing. I mean, if I was running this all day, I'd still put hearing protection on. Obviously, you want to get some tunes going, but I mean, I drove this around the yard, no hearing protection on, and I didn't really feel like my ears were hurting or anything like that. It's definitely nowhere near as loud as my motorcycle. Also on this machine, and I know it's the first question that I asked, where is the cup holder? And Cub Cadet really did a good job on this one. I've got a little paper towel in here to wipe the seat off. It was raining earlier, but we do have a fully adjustable cup holder. So now we can drop this down. You can get your standard cup in there, but if you have like a tall mug or something like that for your coffee, you can raise this up, tighten the little wing nut here, and you can adjust it to whatever style cup that you do have. And you can see it is fairly big, so I mean, you can fit a wide variety of stuff in here, and I think that was really well thought out. So there it is, everybody, the Cub Cadet Pro Z900 with the 60-inch deck. My first day of ownership. I don't know a whole lot about it just yet, but I will be updating you guys in the future on how this machine has worked out. And definitely drop in the comments, is this better than an Exmark? Is an Exmark way better? Is there another brand that I should have gone with and I totally made a mistake? I don't know, you guys tell me. But for me, I think I did make the right decision so far. I mean, it hasn't been a lot of time, but it has been a whole lot of fun to drive. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, keep that hammer down.